The energy is dense and tense this month as our quest for purpose and freedom seem to clash. We need to find new ways of being. Stay tuned to this month's energy forecast to figure out how you can navigate this month. Well, the month of October certainly it's coming in with a big blast. I feel like we're all being blasted with this emotional, intense energy, even psychic energy. It's like dreams have pumped up. We're really trying to kind of purge, detox, cycle through some old things right now so we can get past the ways of being that haven't helped us, the ways that all the solutions that we thought we had, all the things that we thought helped us are no longer supporting us. And so that's why we're on this kind of path right now. But if you're not paying attention to all the dynamics, it can be really difficult. So I broke it down into 3 categories. Of course, this is how all the things affect you, but I wanted to break it up a little bit so you understood that there are some soul influences. So things to do more in conjunction with your soul plan. And then we have how it affects the self, how it affects the individual, and then how the collective kind of works in that. So we have 3 main focuses this video. We're going to look at what the soul is experiencing this October, what the self is experiencing, and the collective, and then how it relates to you as the individual essence. So if we start off with what's happening with the soul, you're being reminded this month that the only way out of problems that have been ongoing is through kindness and compassion. There are no problems that can be solved through hate. So we are being reminded that this is a time of having a deeper understanding, a patience with others around you and with yourself. So there is a tendency this month to kind of have a little bit of self-doubt creep in, even though you have evidence that, maybe you're really good at something and you have evidence you are, but there's still that little nagging piece of self-doubt. So we're being asked right now to be in this space, exist in this space of forgiveness for yourself and for others, and to allow others to have their process, because they may not be where you are, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to get there. They have to get there in their own time, and there's nothing that we can do to force that. So being in that space of compassion looks like giving people their space and time to figure things out in a respectful manner, and not trying to push them or guide them. So the other thing to remember is whatever you do this month, and ongoing, like always, but whatever you do, you're connecting to other people, you're connecting to the collective. So whatever you do will come back to you. It does affect you. So you have to be very mindful of how you're kind of operating, we'll say, this month. And then the sacred contract, it's like we are being called forward to it's like we're being reminded that we have a sacred contract with this life, with many people in this life. And that sacred contract means that you have decided to go on a spiritual journey more so than a human journey. And so the humanness is going to keep popping up this month, and you will be asked to move away from the distractions, to continue working on things that are deeply important to you and to others around you, even though you have a lot of earthly problems and distractions being thrown at you. And I feel like a lot of these feel really big in the beginning, but they boil down to nothing. They boil down to not much at all. So that I want you to just remember that things that when they present themselves, sometimes they seem really overwhelming, or it's a big challenge, or you can't do it. But have faith that these things will settle out and you will have a deeper understanding of what's happening. But there's some patience, there's some kind of surrender energy. So you have to kind of let this kind of go in its own way, but remembering all the time that the old ways of doing things do not work anymore. So we can't get caught up in what we did in the past and what we're doing now, if something that we've done over and over again isn't working, it's time to leave that alone and try to find new solutions or a new path to walk. Or maybe something's out of your control and you're just going to let that scene play itself out and you can observe, be the observer. But a sacred contract basically means that your soul, you have signed the sacred contract to have connections with other people, to have lessons, to have education and learning. And it's interesting to me how many people are sort of like, well, why do I have to keep having these challenges, or why do I have to keep doing this? And basically, we don't, in some ways, we don't really have a choice. The universe is ever expanding. And so if we don't expand with it, what happens? We would exist in some kind of vacuum. We'd be sucked into, nothingness. So we don't want that. We want to expand and grow with the universe as things progress on. And the reminder that the sacred contract that you've made with your own soul and with the collective to amplify the frequency and to help other people, you're empowering people, enlightening people with compassion and kindness, and you're not, going at everything with anger and hate, because that's never solved any problems. So that's kind of like the overview of what's happening from the soul level. Now from the self. So we're talking about inner self. We're talking about a lot of things that are happening to you on a daily basis, and things that open the door to having those spiritual experiences or experiencing that collective love that we all need so much. So from the self, you're being asked to really work from that beginner's mind. And the beginner's mind is a mind that has not had the experiences to color or judge what is happening, what's coming forward. And the reason for that is, again, that we've kind of, in a way, this year, kind of started over. It's like we went back to the drawing board, whether it be with your beliefs or your values, but we kind of went back and kind of scrapped the stuff that wasn't working for us and decided that we were going to go forward in a new way. Often when you do that, feels like a big challenge, feels like there's a lot on your plate. The whole job feels very big. But the thing is to remember that if you're looking at it with a beginner's mind, you don't have to carry the weight of all the knowledge of what happened before in some of these situations that appear similar, but they're really not. Okay, so how it is affecting you internally, it's better to keep this beginner's mind, because the situations that are going to come at you as distractions or try to pull you from your purpose, it's almost like we're looking at things the same way as we did before, but everything's different and everything has to be handled differently now. So you don't keep doing the same things, especially if they're not working. You want to change things up, change up your routines, and change up how you're thinking and how you believe things should be. Now we have this intense energy brewing, and you're going to feel it the beginning of October. The last full moon in September kind of stirred everything up. So we're like feeling this kind of like storm, this intensity, and it's not exactly what I would call chaotic. It's organized power. It's organized force. But the thing about this storm, it can be very helpful if you don't resist some of the things that are happening during that storm. So it's about moving yourself to a place, obviously safety, but not to block the lessons that are coming at you, not to block the opportunities, because there could be many opportunities in the eye of the storm. So where you want to be is in a place where you see all this happening, but you do not allow you to move it from your intention. Focused intention is very important right now, very important. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But that energy of the storm is there. Do not get caught up in it. Allow it to be, appreciate it, be grateful for it, see its power, appreciate the power. And if you can tap into the power of the storm without allowing it to emotionally throw you off, then you'll do much better. So this is what's happening within the self, remember, and now we are faced with this opportunity. So we had the curious observers, beginner's mind, which is lovely because we hit everything just like a child. We're looking at things with a childlike wonder and wondering why is that way, but in a very whimsical way instead of feeling burdened by it. So the storm then brings this force, this power in, and storms change things, they shift things, they change a landscape, they can. So it's very important to understand and appreciate that change must have needed to come. It needed to be there, and the force of it was there for you to create that change. And from the change can come opportunity, but the opportunity has to fit where you are and fit where you're going. So if things are popping up in your path, but they're not exactly in tune or in alignment with you, or it doesn't feel right, please try to stay laser focused in your intention, because that's going to bring me into the energy of the collective that can work against you. We are intensifying this need for our purpose and our freedom to be in balance. So we're intensifying that need this month. And so if you're in that space, you really want to make sure that your intention is fine-tuned, so fine-tuned, so whittled down that it makes it easy for you to say no to things that you don't need. So we want to make sure that we're really narrowing down our purpose, and that will give you freedom, so that the two things don't clash. Because what's happening is we have this big idea about our purpose and what we should be doing, but really, if you can very finely tune the intention behind the purpose, where you want to go, finely tune that goal, then you can see freedom. The freedom will begin to unfold for you. So really important to have from the collective energy and how it affects you, to really make sure that you've finely tuned your intention. You know where you stand, you know where you are. It's very easy to say yes and no. And it's much like if you have certain preferences, food preferences. Really, if you don't know what you like, but you are just hungry and you just want to eat everything, you would not narrow yourself down. You would just eat whatever is presented to you. But if you know what you like, it's very easy for you to say, I'm going to save time. I know I don't like that. I'm going to try this and this, and I'm going to select be selective about your food and about what you're eating. So it's easier when you know what you like. So that's why I'm saying to you, make sure that you think about your purpose as far as your intention. So what are your intentions? How do they relate to your purpose? And finely tune that as much as possible. So then you can say no when things come your way that they could take your time, they could take your energy, and that's really not what you want to have this month, as there is so many distractions that are not important in October. Now, the other thing that's interesting is what's come back this month is this feeling like we really need balance. And we really need to know that balance doesn't happen if you make yourself really small. So if you're trying to balance yourself on a balance beam, it would be very difficult to balance with your arms pulled in, your whole body pulled in. You have to spread open wide to balance perfectly. And if you're on a balance beam, it's a perfect image. You spread your arms as wide as you can to help you balance. And so that's something to remember this month. Do not close yourself up and hide and protect yourself from the world or for what's happening in your life, because there could be some very difficult things thrown at you this month, because we're still kind of purging old stories and old things. And this takes as long as it takes. But we're also being thrown all these, like I said, distractions that can throw you off from your path, from your actual soul purpose. So maintaining that balance is important. Arms open wide, being selective about what you invest your energy in, and also knowing that your heart is wide open to receive the energy of the divine, to recharge, to refill, and to help balance you and help show you the way. That's really important this month, to show you the way. If you close off your heart, you won't have the same kind of guidance, and you will feel a little overwhelmed or lost because there's just so many things happening. So now the surrender piece is important because there's many things. Surrender's part of moving away from the things that take your energy and the things that take you away from your purpose. And we're trying to create that freedom in our lives. We're trying to say, this is me and this is who I am and I'm stepping forward. And we want the freedom to be able to do that. But if you can't surrender to some of the things that are happening, then you can get caught up in whirlpools of problems. And we don't want that. What you want to do is kind of look at things as they're happening and say, is this something that I need to engage my energy in? Is this something that I need to be a part of? Or can I let this one go? And the other thing that's happening is just a surrender to change and a surrender to the world elevating itself and the energy elevating itself and allowing yourself to let go of fear. Because really, what's happening is the collective energy, the vibration is increasing. Please use caution around sensitive issues. In the last part of this year is very intense. Everyone's fighting for something, but we need to be compassionate and loving each other. That's where we all need to be. So part of the surrender too is knowing that there's no fix right now and there's no answer. So in October, you may feel like there are these things thrown at you and there's just question marks at the end of the day. There's no answer for them. And that's part of surrender, to understand that there is a plan for you. You can't have all the answers right now. You have to take your time and really allow everything to settle in and allow yourself to feel what it feels like to go through a process of discovery and a process of allowing. And sometimes there is no answer. And that's a hard one for us to swallow. But I feel like that's going to come forward a lot in October. We have to get through these things because everything's manifesting so quickly, and we really are in a place where our thinking has to be on point. And that's why if you can fine-tune that intention, keep the intention really clear this month, you can be rewarded with so much opportunity and so much positive flow in your life. And that positive flow comes because you're not letting yourself get caught up on all the hang-ups that are kind of flowing your way. Do what you can in the moment when these distractions, challenges, or like I said, hang-ups come your way. Do what you can, but learn to let go. Learn to let go at the end of the day so that you don't have to carry those into the next day and the next day. You have great big things to do. You have stuff to do. You signed a sacred contract in this life to live as a spiritual being, and that comes with certain responsibilities. And you know, I know that she's been a controversial person, but early in my kind of development phase, Sylvia Browne was a great inspiration to me. And I always remember her saying, just do your work and go home. So we have work to do here as spirit and soul beings. So it's not about getting caught up on the little things. There's a bigger picture here. Love people, love them with all your heart. Love them when they annoy you. Love them when they make you angry. Love them and be patient, because everybody has a lot going on right now. And October is a busy, busy month. Love to all of you. And I can't wait to see you next month.